Hey, we are live. What is up, everybody? Happy Thursday. Welcome to PreMarket Prep. Spencer Israel. I have Joel Elconin. I have Dennis Dick. And what are we talking about today? We're talking about Nikola. Yeah, I haven't talked about Nikola for a hot second, but they started production earlier than expected. That means buy the stock, apparently. A few earnings to discuss on our radar as well. KB Homes, Darden Restaurants, Traeger Grills. We'll talk about that. We'll take questions from our chat. Michael Hewson and Peter Tuchman are today's guests. So go ahead, smash that like button, subscribe to our channel. Here we go. Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day. And before I bring Joel on, I just want to acknowledge that YouTube appears to be fixed today. So thank goodness for that. Joel, good morning. How you doing?
Not too bad, Spencer. When we last spoke, we kind of had the week closed, but the buy the dippers, they came in right at the low from Wednesday, got above the close, and nice rally up 22 3/4 handles, 44.70 1/4. Let's see if those gains can hold. Crude basically flat, down 21 cents at 14.72. Not really seeing anything in the crude chart. Gold, we all know what gold has to do. That has to get over 1950, and that's where we are. We're up 1990 at 1957.10. Silver going the same way, stuck in the middle 25 handle, up 29 cents at 25.49. Bitcoin, slow roll north, up 840, 43, 150. Ethereum futures, they're going the same way, a little bit more. On a percentage basis, they're up $90.50 at 30.66.50. We're going to bring in Triple D, but I just want to give everybody a quick warning. I may not be on my game today in the markets. I got a lot on my mind.
You're very distracted because it's tonight, right?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And if anybody can guess what this says here, they get to listen to the show for free for the rest of the week.
What's that? Oh, it says Michigan in Hebrew. Nice.
No.
It does. Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't say go blue?
It says Michigan.
Okay, you're right. You passed.
He knows how to read Hebrew. Joel doesn't. Joel, he has to tell you what your cup says.
I can read.
That must be my other one.
Don't tell me what it doesn't say. I know what it says.
Good job on that one.
All
right.
The headline on Uber.
Uber just now?
Yeah, just blasted off
about
5 minutes ago.
I'm too busy starting the show to be paying attention.
You got a headline on Uber, folks. Just took off.
They are, whoa, that is interesting. They're listing all New York cabs, yellow cabs on their app.
Wow.
What a development. That's like oil and water. Uber and taxis.
What is going on with that?
That's
working together.
Yeah.
Working together.
After a decade
enemies become friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
That's the lift.
So you'll be able to hail a cab from Uber, from the app. Huh.
There you go.
There we go.
That's the news. I knew there was something. I was like, holy mackerel, Uber just blasted off. It's actually leaking here. Holy Joel, look what they just put. Well, not left. Don't look at left for a second. Look at Uber.
No, yeah.
So we're off the highs. We rallied almost to 35.5. So we're out buck off the highs here. But what's interesting is if you do go back to that lift chart, is lift is selling off on this. So initial pop, lift gets the initial pop with Uber, the Paris traders, and then they're like, uh-oh, this isn't lift involved. So lift actually selling off on this. So interesting. Paris traders not, unless you got it on the other way, not enjoying this one because Uber going up, Lyft going down on this. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this, though, Spencer?
Yeah, it's like it's enemies becoming friends. I
Yeah,
don't know what
yeah.
to make of
Oil and
it.
water mix.
Yeah, yeah. There had to have been some sort of conversation because aren't there? Isn't there a union? Isn't there a taxi union? There had to have been some sort of conversations with. Oh, Keith says they have that in Hong Kong. I don't know what things are like over there, but in New York, the taxi cab industry and Uber are not friendly at all. So this is interesting. So how's this going to work now? Because so is Uber going to take a cut of your? I assume they've worked out the details, but Uber must be taking a cut. If you book a yellow cab, are you gonna get to choose? Do you want an Uber or a yellow cab Uber? I don't know. This is so
I
interesting.
guess if you just don't like going in a random stranger's car, all of a sudden you can, you can get a taxi cab from your Uber. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
What
It
isn't
helps the taxis too, for sure. Get them back on the board. I kind of like it.
I like it. I mean, I've always been in favor of taxis and, be able to whistle them down and go. I mean, especially like in New
Joel,
York,
Joel
but
just wants to whistle.
I just want to whistle.
I know.
Is it, did it get taken over? Wasn't there a stock that,
There was a taxi medallion. That's what you're referring to, right?
yes,
Yeah.
Medallion company.
Yeah, there was a medallion company.
it's
Oh
gone
god,
now,
It
right?
wouldn't be doing well.
No, it wouldn't. It'd be doing, but it'd be doing, no, it's not taxi.
I don't remember.
I
Hold on,
might be
let's
gone.
see if I can search.
Yeah, one of our spinners, someone's gonna have to help us out on that one.
It's from back in the day. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, wait, was it MFIN? Yeah,
Medallion Financial.
yeah.
That's the Uber tax. That's the taxi.
Yeah, that's the medallions that you need to have a license.
So maybe this helps them.
Yeah.
So good call,
It's
Joel.
trading up.
Yeah, it's bid up. It's only traded 1,700 shares. It's very early, so warning, Will Robinson when the volume's that low. But yeah, it's getting a little bid there. 950, 955,
Look,
1011 offered. Getting
and
a little bid.
but look at this chart since January. I don't know what this was, if this was earnings or unannounced 2-for-1 stock split. What was the news?
It sounds good for them. I mean,
it sounds great for them.
It does. It does. So, and it's this is a thin traded stock, but I'm not surprised it's bid up.
What could you please news me from?
Wait, before we go any further, let me make sure that I have like the right company here because I don't want to assume I don't. I mean, the fact that it's bid up.
It was bid up before we even started talking about it.
Yeah, so let's not assume yet. But
Spencer's looking it up.
Yeah,
just to make sure that this is.
It sounds right. That's all I'll say.
But sounds right to me too. Medallion sounds right.
Yeah,
Medallion Financial.
Leading positions, various commercial industries. Yeah, but let's go to their investor deck. All right, so that's interesting.
Is that it?
I think it is. I mean, it's bid up pretty substantially here on this. So why else would it be bid up that much?
What happened? I'm looking financial results. Yeah, I got December 2nd. That was earnings. I just want to see what this day was. It just got smoked this day. This was the 29th. Yeah, 29th. It went from 8. The 29th. So we have anything on the 28th?
I'm not so sure. I think this is more of a
MFIN's really going now. Now it's up 10% now. Somebody just lifted those 1011s.
I know, but as that happens, I'm not so positive because I think this might be just a broader consumer loan company now. This may be like historically what they did, but maybe
it's up 10% right now.
All right, so. I got it. They have a subsidiary that is a medallion lending company. So yes, so our instinct was correct. This is
because it was bid up before we even started talking about it. And now it's somebody just lifted 5,000 1011. That's a bold bet, up 10%. But 1011 bid here now. So we're seeing it live. You're seeing the news break on this thing live here. MFIN. Uber now up 6% and Lyft going the other direction because obviously not participating in this. They are down 37 until they say next week, oh yeah, we'll lift them too.
But maybe there's exclusivity on that.
Maybe. I mean, I didn't read the fine print on this. I'll tell you that much. Not yet. Too early in the morning for fine print. And adjust my glasses.
Wowzer. I think it's great news. But anyways,
I think it's good for both companies.
Nice catch.
I'm not surprised both are getting bid up.
Wow, that was fun.
Sorry, Ever. That messes up our little thing on the
No,
side.
it's okay. No, we're back on track. We're back on
That
track.
was
No,
more
we can't
exciting
be
than
on.
Nikola, though. That was more exciting than Nikola. That trumped Nikola.
Let's do Nikola.
So Nikola,
Nikola.
the news is not that they began production. The news is really that they began production like several months ahead of schedule. Is they were supposed to start commercial production. They said sometime during Q2 or like I think late Q2 is what they said, and then they said actually we've already started yesterday. They said that they started already. So production has now begun on the Tray. That's their electric truck, and now they got to make them.
Yeah, I mean, what exactly does that mean? Does that mean that they went and bought some wrenches and some nuts and bolts, and they're and they're
Well, you
opening
don't
up the
read the fine
garage?
print here either, Joel. It's a good question.
What is starting production? That's what I want to know.
I assume that to mean. I mean, they said it during their
Yes.
investor day. I assume it to mean that like the assembly line is moving. Like they said that they yesterday they reiterated their plan, their guidance to deliver between 300 and 500 trucks this year. Batteries are going to be kind of the key factor there in whether they make or don't make that.
Breaking news: they brought some people over from Workhorse to push the trucks through the assembly line. It's not an excellent.
Hard. That wasn't.
Whoa.
That wasn't Workhorse.
Who was that?
Workhorse has nothing to do with pushing trucks.
Defend Workhorse.
Who was it that pushed it up the hill so it went down the hill?
That was Nikola.
That's the guy that's in jail.
That was
Milton.
That was Nikola.
I don't think Milton's in jail, is he? Isn't he? Didn't he buy an island with his hundreds of millions of dollars that he's obviously made off of this stock, despite them never making a truck? I don't think he's in jail, is he?
I don't know.
No.
We had him on the show, didn't we?
No,
we didn't.
No, he would have came though because he was really promotional on his stock. He would have came on for sure.
We've only had one person that was on the show that went to jail. Maybe two.
I think we've had more than one.
Oh, obviously, I know the big one.
Yeah. We have Scarelli.
Martin.
Yeah.
And then we had,
and he was excellent on our show, by the way. He was very, he was so nice. And I was expecting, conceited. He was really nice to us.
And he gave us a good pick too.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and it
was it Jazz? What was it?
Yeah, I think so. And it went up like 30% after he said it. So he was on that too.
And there was one that went. There was one that went down too. That he picked. That he said was. That was.
I remember the one that went
zero. And then I can't remember.
Who was the other one that went to jail off of our show?
I don't actually. I don't know if he went to jail, but he got barred from the securities industry for stealing from his clients. This is like 6 years ago.
No,
it's Todd something.
Todd something.
I remember the name, but I'm not.
Joel knows what I'm talking about.
I guess we should take him off the dock, huh?
Yeah. Well, there's a reason he's in red. It means don't reach out to them.
Get barred and you're not coming back to the show. Okay. Anyways, let's take it back to Nikola.
Yeah.
I actually, this was a very, very slow, delayed response to this headline because I bought this thing. I saw the headline break. Benzinga, Charles there, squawking it out there, saying Nikola starting production. So I picked some up at $9.29 last night. I was like, that sounds pretty good. And it went up to like $9.50 and just kind of hung out there forever. And I was like, I guess that's all it's worth. It was like over an hour just hang out at $9.50. So I just sold it at right in there around $9.50, took the 20 cents and moved on. And lo and behold, the next morning, everybody's so excited about this. So this was the most news algo sleeping on this one because it was a delayed response to this. I thought it was worth more too, but it sat there for an hour. CNBC announced it, got a little pop in CNBC, and then they dogged it on Fast Money. And I don't know, they didn't move forever. So I don't know if they've come out with more information on this, but this thing was really quiet last night off this for a long time. And then started to slowly drift up.
Yeah.
You can see, like the headline broke at like 5 o'clock, and for like 2 hours it sat there and really didn't go. So I was surprised it didn't go more, but I'm going to sit around for a day because my time frame's like minutes half the time on these headlines. So, anyways, it's up big now, up 17%. What do you think about it at this point, Joel?
Let's see. $11 just jumps out to me. It got to 11 in the pre-market. I don't have anything exactly at 11 for you on the dailies. What I do have for you on the dailies, if you're looking for more, is 11.50. But first things first, let's get through 11. And I just want to finish here. Triple D buy with the blue arrow, and then the red arrow is triple D sell. I don't know why. Why didn't you just hold on and just forget about it for a little bit?
I don't forget about things like that. You're trading for the headline. After an hour, if they don't have it priced in, you're like, wow, it's not worth as much as I thought it was. I mean, you look at this and it sat there forever. And sometimes, I mean, GME was slow the other night too. Maybe the news algo was sleeping. The GME was really slow the other night too. Like when it broke that headline, that it went up like a couple bucks and then it sat there for a long time. So sometimes they just don't go. Like they don't take off right away. So maybe I do have to extend the time horizon a little bit. But I don't know. Anyways, I thought it was like, I guess it's only worth 20, 30
what about,
cents.
let's just check out these other pigs. How's Workhorse doing? What's going on with Workhorse?
It got a little lift yesterday, small off the meme stock when GME and AMC were rallying. Workhorse obviously was one of them, and there was a bunch of other ones, but they didn't really move much. So, but you know what? It's out of the gutter. A lot of these stocks are have kicked off the lows. They've consolidated for a few days. Does this kickstart them? I don't know.
And what about Ride? How's Ride doing?
What about Marcus? Have we heard anything from Marcus?
No, Marcus.
I haven't reached out in months. I can.
We miss Marcus. Marcus was the person that would, he was like he was like Anne Marie, a calming voice, fun, he was super nice guy. We know he caught the wrong side of Ride, but
I know.
But man, I'd love to have him back. We all miss Marcus. My dad says all the time, I miss Marcus. Yeah, Marcus was just a good guy.
He just had bad timing on that trade, I mean, I'm sure everyone's had bad trades, but like that one,
you got to cut those losers.
That's the key. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, come on, get us on script here, Spencer.
Okay, I can get us on script. Let me pull up my notes here. I don't know.
Oh, Marcus has his own YouTube show, Sarah says. I guess he's made another show. That's why he doesn't come back. Come back and advertise your show on. We'll even advertise your YouTube
We do advertise everything for everybody else.
We advertise everything for everyone. We're all friends here. Like Uber, medallions, taxi companies. We're friends with everyone.
No, Matthew, that is not true. I reached out to Marcus several times, and he not after the Ride thing, and he didn't come back on. Okay, we had a few earnings here. We can do in no particular order: KB Homes, Traeger Grills, and Darden Restaurants. KB Homes is probably the first one. We can give zero out first last night.
Yeah.
EPS came in a little bit light, $1.47 versus $1.56 estimate. Sales, 1.4 versus $1.5 billion. They guided housing sales revenue for the year in the low to mid $7 billion range, which I think was in line. But it was like a lukewarm report, it seemed like.
Again, I'm very worried about housing right now. And Lennar, after they got the earnings pop, it was indeed a selling opportunity because it came down here.
Mhm.
A rising interest rate environment is not good, and inflation is not good for these guys either, for the simple reason is that, and they're saying it, their average house price, average new build's like $500,000. It was like $497,000. It's an all-time high. There's a lot of people just can't afford to build a new house right now. I know I'm going through it. It's going to be done in June, hopefully, my new house, and it is running 50% over budget. 50 with no changes. It's just running that high. And that's all material costs. Everything. Everything is up. And, and the inflation's just kind of gone out of hand too. I mean, in certain things, like my wife had this, I don't know, it was a lamp or something that she'd bought a couple of them, and then she realized that she needed another one. So she bought these like 3 months ago, this expensive lamp. I don't know, it was like $300. And anyways, she went and tried to get another one because we needed another one. You know what they jacked it to 3 months later, Joel? $300. Take a guess what the lamp's selling for now. Same lamp, same company.
$450.
$425. They literally jacked that lamp price over 30%. Same lamp, same company. I don't know what the company is, but I mean, that's the environment we're in right now. Like they are jacking prices. Like even, the labor costs are jumping too. Like I said, electrician going from, $58 to 75, not like 58 to 60. Like they're jacking prices right now. And you're seeing this across the board everywhere. So, I built the house at the worst possible time in a pandemic. So obviously, the budget got blown apart. But I tell you, man, if I was starting that house today, I'd be way more money again because, I got hit on the lumber, but I got in on a few things that hadn't actually gone up in price. Everything is up in price. Like my window package for that house, I was talking to the guy. He said, "You're so lucky you bought those windows a year ago because they're all up 30%. You'd be paying 30% more for those same windows." It's crazy. So that goes back into these home builder conversation here.
Yeah,
Is people are looking and saying, well, I can't afford $500,000 home, especially when you get jack interest rates on me. So there's going to be problems for the home builders as inflation stays sticky and rates keep rising. I do not want to own a home builder for that reason.
So how you can buy a home before it's built, right?
Yep.
I know people that have done that in the past 2 years, right? Now, as the home buyer, you're locked into your price, but as the home builder, you're not, because you're like it takes whatever a year to build this home, and in that year, your cost of goods goes way up. So I'm wondering, like
they're not even doing that now in some places, Spencer. They're not even doing that. They'll guarantee their labor and they won't guarantee the materials. But you're absolutely right. This is the way it historically has been. But because material costs are so crazy, like I was talking to my builder about this too. The lumber yard used to give them, when they gave them a quote, they would say this was good for 90 days. When the lumberyard gives them a quote now, it's good for 7 days. It's 7 days, the material, because the material costs are so volatile that they can only guarantee the price for 7 days. So they goes to the lumberyard, gets his lumber package for the house. Literally, that price is only good for 7 days instead of the usual 90. So I think they're very hesitant now, going forward. And obviously, mine was a custom build, so I was never gonna, have that luxury of being locked in, on the whole thing. But I mean, that's the way these housing companies have worked. But I think that model is changing now too, to a certain extent, because material costs are so volatile that they can't, predict it out good enough right now.
And I'm being corrected in the chat. I only know what people that have done this told me, but apparently that's not true, that you're not locked into your price anymore.
Not anymore. It changed. This was the way. This is the way. We'll go back to this is the way. This was the way.
Yeah.
But it's changing too. Welcome to an inflationary environment where nothing is locked in. It's not fun, man. It's not fun to build a house. I will tell you that much. It is not fun.
Hallelujah. I'm glad I built.
Joel, you got lucky. Although you would have built, you would have been ahead of it, I think. My next door neighbor, they did a huge reno on their house too, and they were a year and a half ahead of me. They saved a lot of money. Like I would have built this house 2.5 years ago. I probably would have saved myself like 30%. But no, not the case. So moving on. But home builders, this is the trouble of buying a home builder stock right now. Their earnings look pretty good, but they're looking at the past. And what's that look like going forward? It's kind of murky. And maybe people are still going to build homes. Maybe everybody's going to be rich. The stock market starts to make new highs. Maybe interest rates don't go up as aggressively, but there's a lot of concerns there to be long home builders.
The rates too. We looked at this one technically last night, and I really like the 38. Just looked really big, and I guess I'm not the only one that can read a chart, because that pop didn't even get to 37. I talked about 34 on the downside because that had been the low of the move. You got to 33. And you got a little bit of a bounce. So let's see if it works its way back down to that $34 area. That was the low of the recent move in February.
Let's pivot from home builders to restaurants, but still inflation to some extent. Darden Restaurants reported earnings this morning. EPS came in well below the estimate. $1.93 is what they said versus a $2.12 estimate. Sales also missed 2.45 versus $2.51 billion. Guidance for the year, EPS was light, sales was light. So light across the board for Darden Restaurants this morning. This is the owners of Olive Garden.
I took a shot on this last night. You can see, for whatever reason, somebody was nervous about the report, and they were bidding up at 134. They were bidding at 132. I'm like, no, it's not good enough. And then they went 133. I was like, Then they went 134, and I'm like, you know what? You want to give me a 3-point lead into the report? I'll short into it. So I shorted 134 last night, took it through the report intentionally. I can't get out because I knew when I shorted after hours last night. But somebody was nervous. They didn't want to take it through the report. It's like, I'll take it through the report. You're going to be a 3-point lead? I'll take it through the report.
You sold the high on that one.
It was, yeah. Well, the other people did the same thing. It was a bid. I don't know how many shares were bid up. There wasn't a ton of shares, but yeah. So yeah, 134, and so smacked the 134, and then took it through the report. I woke up this morning and I covered in the 128, so I'm already out of it. So it ended up working out. I mean, this is, some people don't want to take a stock through the report and they're willing to bid it up 3 points. I'm like, DRI, even if it beats, I'm like, it's probably about 4 or 5. Like, you're trying to weigh risk reward, right? You're like, nah, I don't think it's going to go up 10 points on me if it really beats. And then I'm like, is it even going to beat? So anyways, I had time to analyze that. They were sitting there, I was like, nah, I'll take a shot. So anyway, so it worked out. So I got
good.
5 points off or 5.5 points off. It worked out.
Yeah, we're down to 19. What do we have here? Pre-market low is, oh no, you can use that 126.10. That's a ways away. That's a couple bucks away. If you want to own this thing, like you want to put Darden Restaurants in your portfolio, 116, let's just call it 135, 19-point move, 8.5, maybe 124.5, 125 over the next couple days. I got a couple lows in that area. That's that's where I would put my first bid if I was interested in that. And then on the upside, bottom of yesterday's range, if you're trying to sneak out, 130.41 potential resistance.
Last one, and then we'll move on to some other movers here. But Traeger grills another IPO from the last year and a half, and Joel and I
great ticker symbol
yesterday. Yeah, it's Cook. Earnings per share. That's it. Earnings per share 3 cents. Sales did beat 174 versus 157 million dollars. Let's see how this compares to prior quarters if we have it. I don't even know if we do because it's a pretty new company.
Oh man,
let's check it out. No, we have 3 quarters worth of data, so it's not super helpful here.
I don't know. I think these luxury barbecues and Traeger, I think, is kind of an upscale barbecue, isn't it? Aren't these Weber Traeger? These are like
they're
Home Depot barbecue.
Yeah, they're upscale for sure.
Yeah, and that's a consideration. I mean, right now the consumer's getting pressed a little bit, so I think I don't want to own upscale stuff right now. I mean, yeah, it's been the thing to do, and people haven't cared about price, but right now they do. So I don't know. This isn't for me either.
Can you see my screen, or do I need to reshare?
Yeah, no, I got it. What's that?
This is Biff Tannen follows me, and the guy likes almost all my jokes. He's one of he might be moving into the top 5 people that like all my.
Is that what you tweeted at him?
No, well, yesterday on the show, I said we talked about the stock, and I said it's been getting roasted. And then that was even before the report.
Nice. So now it's really roasted.
Yeah, and then so is that pretty funny? How do people find these kind of things, these gifts, man? I thought that was. I even showed Lisa that one. I thought that was pretty.
They're
funny.
good at these GIFs.
Yeah,
it's a meme world in the GIF world.
I wish I knew how to do that. Go ahead. This is a new all-time low, right? Down $1.60. Where's the pre-market low? No, is it 818? Wow, no, it's lower than that. Where's the pre-market low? Pre-market low 684. So if you want to own it at the all-time low, there it is, about 40 cents away. It looks like someone stepped up the 7 a little bit. Yeah. And then what's the other one? Weber Grills.
It already reported, I believe, Spencer. I believe we heard from Weber already, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah.
Is there still that
the great barbecues? I have a Weber. Great barbecue.
Yeah, everyone has a Weber. I don't understand why the stock does so bad. Do you still have the that Weber's on when you're driving north of Toronto?
Oh, the hamburger shop? Yeah. In Aurelia?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if you go north on Highway 11, you get into the north, they have Weber's hamburgers, and it's famous up in the northern area there. There's lineups, like 100 people in line all the time. So it's just off the freeway.
Yeah.
And this place was so busy all the time that they were just going, when you were going north, they actually built an overpass for people to walk over. Must have spent millions of dollars on the overpass just so they could get the people going south too. That's how busy it is. So they built a parking lot and they built an overpass over the freeway, just a walking path, just for people to go to the Weber's hamburger shop. That's how famous it is. Weber's.
And I did it. That's when 100 years ago when I worked up at Camp White Pine in Halliburton.
Really? It's been around for years.
You've heard those stories before. Holy
I don't know. Do we want to?
Oh, man. I was
Where
there.
what city is that? Camp White Pine. Where is that?
Halliburton.
Oh, in Halliburton.
Yeah.
The home of the black flies.
Yeah.
There's a lot of black flies out there.
I was there. I was supposed to there work at that guy offered me work at the swim camp for, like 2-3 weeks, offered me a ridiculous amount of money. And that was the summer I met Lisa. I was up there 2 days and I'm like, I told him I had no clean clothes, that I had to go into town because I was starving because I just hated the camp food so much. And I got some other good stories.
There's
but
not much in town there. It's
I'm
a pretty
gonna
small
save it.
town. I don't even know if you find a clothing store. Maybe there's a Stedman's. Or
No, I
something.
needed food. I
You
needed
need food.
food.
You're starving. There's a couple restaurants.
Yeah.
Halliburton, though, you got to go there after. Don't go there the first week. I did a vacation there like 15 years ago. And it was July 1st, July 4th that week I took off. But that is like black fly week up there. And you go outside and there's the black flies. And you don't even see them. They're small. And by the end of the week, I must have had 200 bites on me. I'm not joking. Like the black flies were just so bad. Kind of ruined the whole thing. So you'd want to go after you want to get like later summer when they burn off. You get it when it's hot. Like you get into August and you're good to go. But you go there June, July, black flies. Not fun.
You know what? The final thing, and then we'll move on. The movie Meatballs?
Yeah.
That was filmed at the camp that I worked at.
Was it in Halliburton? Meatballs.
Yeah.
Was Bill Murray in that?
Yep.
That's a Bill Murray movie. You can't go wrong, Bill Murray. I tell you that.
All right, let's go. Come on, Spencer. You're doing a horrible job
Today's
today.
travel segment brought to you by Off Deep Woods Insecticide.
And Weber
It doesn't
Grills.
work on black flies.
Protects against mosquitoes, flies, and ticks, but not black flies.
Not black flies. The black flies are impossible.
It is unscented and has a non-greasy formula that resists perspiration. Thank you, Off, for your non-sponsorship of the show. Let's talk Spotify for 1 second here. Google is doing this new pilot program where they're letting apps on their app store utilize their own proprietary payment service, and they're not forcing everyone through Google's payment service. And they're starting that with Spotify. So Spotify is going to be allowing people to use Spotify's own payment service and not Google's. This is a big deal because payment services are really expensive. I wish I could find it, but there was a tweet yesterday and I didn't save it. And I don't remember who it was from, but it was from some like VC tech Silicon Valley guy. And it was a breakdown of how much money these payment services eat into these companies. And it's a lot of money. So the idea is Google's going to be letting apps starting with Spotify use their own payments. Google is not going to be taking a cut of that. Good for Spotify, and we'll see how it goes. So that's why Spotify is up this morning, because they're going to be on their own payments. So if you pay Spotify, you'll be going through Spotify and not through Google.
All these growthy momentum stocks have actually consolidated the last few days quite nicely. I'll say that. I mean, you get a headline now lifting it out of here. But, they all had the big bounce, and now you've even had some consolidation here the last few days. So even like ARKK, you had the big move down, which is probably oversold. And now you've had 3-4 days where it just kind of hung out 63, 64, 65, just kind of hanging out, not really running, but, holding up and held up well in yesterday's tape. So I'm throwing Spotify in that same group. So you know what? You've got a consolidation base now. So I don't like to chase. And you're not really chasing at this point because you've got that little base you're building off. So now I would stop myself out if I'm going along Spotify. I guess you got to take it down to 137. So it's hard.
Yeah,
this may
it's
be
a
not
little
the
bit
best
of a
example.
ways, yeah.
The 155, but there's room. I mean, these things are oversold. You get a positive headline here. It has been the sell the rip market, but sell the rip's not working as well as it was 2 weeks ago. So just keep that in mind too. Buy the dip is working better than sell the rip now. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm fading it.
I'm not fading it, and I'm not buying it up here. But if I was a shareholder, if I was trading it, Well, I look at 160. I mean, can we get to 160? Pre-market highs at 157. 11,000 shares, but this just kind of sticks out to me. You stalled here. This was part of a breakdown at 160.17. Boom, you got back up there again on this date, 159.49. So
Yeah.
that's a big level. That
Yeah.
is a big level, 160. You could
Yeah.
find your own support in that one.
All right, it is 8:35. Time for today's guest, Michael Hewson, who has not been on the show for far too long. CMC Markets. He's our chief market analyst, joining us from across the pond. Now, we just did get some economic data. I don't know if maybe Michael can talk about that because we totally glossed over that. But let's see what's on Michael's mind right now. Michael, good morning for us. Good afternoon for you.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Nice to be invited back on. It's been a long time. Yeah, just looking at the US economic numbers and jobless claims, fairly decent. Certainly heading in the right direction, and I think reinforces the Fed's focus less on the labour market and more on inflation. Certainly the labour market appears to be in rude health. Certainly got high expectations for next week's non-farm payrolls. Durable goods, though,
Down
they're
2.2%.
they're not good. Minus 2.2%. On excluding transportation, minus 0.6, and we're expecting plus 0.6. And I think that speaks to a reluctance on the part of consumers to purchase big ticket items. And I know you were talking about that particular trend in your summing up in the lead up to bringing me on, that essentially high ticket items now are certainly an awful lot more expensive when it comes to either kitting out your house or even building a new one,
Yeah.
as you were talking about earlier. So durable goods, I think, really bears that out.
I mean, that's the concern here, is do we eventually get some, I know everybody's talking about it now, is demand destruction. I mean, as prices continue to go up, and at the pumps, but everywhere, does demand eventually start to come down here? And obviously that's a very much concern here for the economy. What are your thoughts here, Michael?
I think it's inevitable. I mean, you've got to look at where inflation is right now. I mean, it's 7.9 CPI. I know the Fed doesn't look at that, but ultimately it's about what consumers have to pay for everyday goods and services. And when you look at food and energy price inflation, it's likely to go higher. PPI as a leading indicator is already leading in that direction. And while PPI is around 10% in the US, in places like Germany and Italy, it's at 25 and 41%. Well, you've got to think that even if not all of that makes it into the CPI, a good proportion of it will, and with wage growth lagging significantly behind, I have real concerns that as we head into Q2, potentially and the second half of this year, that we're going to see an element of demand destruction unless we get prices come down quite significantly. And I really can't see that happening given what's happening in Eastern Europe at this time. So it is a worry. We actually saw some evidence of that actually in this morning's flash PMIs out of Europe. An awful lot of businesses are very pessimistic about the outlook. And what we've seen is an awful lot of businesses actually forward buying an awful lot of their inventory before the prices go up. So what you could see, even though the headline numbers are fairly positive, if you look beyond the numbers at the internals, you'll find that there's been an awful lot of what I would call bringing forward of inventory in order to get ahead of the rising costs that are inevitably coming.
Michael, help us understand, broadly speaking here, is bad news or is bad news good news, like in terms of the market?
I think in terms of the markets, the bad news is starting to become bad news. If we look at the impulse...
Starting to become bad news, okay.
Yeah, essentially, I think that will start to get priced in to the markets. We've seen a fairly decent rebound on the S&P, the DAX and the Dow. We've got an awful lot of people saying now that potentially we could go higher. Now, if central banks were in easing mode, I would probably buy into that narrative, but they're not. We've got the Federal Reserve and Powell earlier this week talking about the potential for not just one 50 basis point rate hike, but several. When you've got Neil Kashkari of the Minneapolis Fed, who tends to be one of the more dovish voices on the FOMC talking in terms that they need to start tightening policy, then I think the benign outlook that we've got used to when it comes to central banks, you have to call that into question. And ultimately, central banks are in a very, very difficult situation at this moment in time. They can either do nothing and allow inflation to let rip and inflation expectations become embedded, and as a consequence, the economy slows down that way, or they can tighten policy and slow the economy down that way. Essentially, they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't. For me, I think they have to tighten policy, if only to ease it sometime at the end of next year.
So how's inflation across the pond? I mean, we know where we're at here. Are we kind of exporting it out there, to your area in Europe? I probably don't follow that as closely as I should, but how's inflation running in the UK?
We're at a 30-year high. Yesterday, we got CPI coming at 6.2%, highest level since 1990. On the other adjusted measure, the retail prices, 8.4%, 8.2% rather. So we are feeling it more than most. And we're not being helped by the fact that next month, national insurance tax rates are going up. So not only we are having to undergo an inflationary squeeze, we're also getting squeezed by the UK Chancellor's tax policy, and mind-numbingly naive, I think, is probably being polite, to try and recover some of the costs of the pandemic. If you actually look at producer prices, we're trending at 14.7%. So there's an awful lot more pain to come in over the course of the next quarter or so. More importantly than that, our energy bills are going to go up by 54% next month. Just think about that. 54% with
That's
potentially
insane.
another 20%
Gosh.
in October.
I mean, you add all this up, and obviously Powell's trying to talk confidently that he thinks we can have a soft landing here. But when you start looking and looking here, is it possible even to have a soft landing? I mean, this seems like an impossible task.
I think there's a triumph of hope over expectation more than anything else. I mean, I like to think I'm a fairly optimistic guy, but when you've got this confluence of factors coming together, and you've got wages lagging significantly behind, something has to give. And I think what will give is consumption, because ultimately that's what drives the US economy.
Yeah.
That's what drives the UK economy. And consumers will shop around. They'll put off the discretionary buys. So you look at companies, say, for example, like Netflix or Disney, Apple and Amazon. You don't need 4 or 5 subscriptions. So you may find that some of these may get cut. Now, you can argue that in the case of Netflix, their core market now is probably less the US and probably more international markets. But a company like Disney, again, they've also got a diverse revenue stream. But ultimately, some of these discretionary items will have to get cast to one side. I mean, I'll give you an example. I've got an Amazon Prime subscription, I've got a Netflix subscription, and I've got a Disney Plus subscription. This is the way. But what is also the way is that if you find that your wages get squeezed, something will need to get cut.
I mean, you look at Disney, and this is, and everything about it is discretionary. The parks are discretionary, and this is somewhat scary from that. And maybe this is the reason why the stock is off significantly from the highs, and the market has been rallying, but it's starting to leak here again. It's concerning, the discretionary purchases. I mean, the consumer is going to have less money to spend, and they're still got to buy food and energy. They can't cut those things back. So I think you're right. I think you start looking away from discretionary companies.
2 things I want to cover with you here, Michael.
Sure.
The first thing, I mean, we've had this conversation with you now for 10 minutes, and we mentioned interest rates, and obviously that the overhang on the market there. I just want to talk about 2 other things that are very relevant to the markets, and COVID. We know how things are going over here. We hear new variants. The market seems to be pretty numb to that now. Things are much more back to normal here for a lot of people. Is that the same for you guys? Are you guys a little bit ahead of us, a little bit behind us as far as restrictions and also impacts on the economy?
Yeah, I mean there are no restrictions here in the UK at all. We do have some regional disparities, and by that I mean there are differences between England and Scotland, perhaps. So in Scotland, you still have to wear face coverings inside shops. I think that's still mandated by law. But here in the United Kingdom, it's encouraged, but it's not compulsory. And ultimately, you can pretty much go about your business as per normal. That being said, infection rates are still fairly high. They're probably as high as they were in the middle of last year. But I think there needs to be a distinction between infection levels and hospitalizations
Yeah.
and being in
Yeah.
intensive care. And
Yeah.
intensive
Yeah.
care rates are right down. And I think we've got to the stage now whereby we're having to learn to live with it. We are learning to live with it. People are catching COVID. They now know don't have to self-isolate by law, but they're still encouraged to do so. And ultimately, it's pretty much as you were. So no one's really talking about COVID. You do have a small cohort of people who still obsess about it. But in terms of what the markets are thinking, it's very much last year. I think people are much more concerned about the geopolitics of
Yeah.
what's
Yeah,
happening.
that's where I was gonna go
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
I
very, very much so.
Yeah, I mean, interest rates don't keep me up at night, and COVID doesn't keep me up at night. But what's going on with Russia and Ukraine? That keeps me up
That
at
keeps me
night.
up at night from a
Eh,
For
geographical point of
sure.
view.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, man, how did I mean,
It's
we're,
preaching
you
to the
know,
choir here, Joel.
yeah, no, I know, but I'm just saying, how, from your perspective, I mean, you're right there, and wars just don't start and end in a month. I mean,
No,
what's your what's your perspective out there? I mean, you get different news out of some agencies saying, it's war's not going the way they want, and then defections and I mean, you see a lot. What do you believe? How do you believe in? When or if is there going to be a resolution?
I mean I think that's the $1 billion question. And I think if we were dealing with a rational actor um, in form of the Russian president, I might have some insight into that. But when you've got a Russian president who's actually throwing it out there that he might be minded to use nuclear weapons, and even I'm old enough to remember the 1980s and the height of the Cold War. And I remember what that was like. And we had nuclear weapons on UK soil with US air bases at various places all around the country, and the tension was fairly high then. But at least you had some idea of who you were dealing with the Soviet Union. You don't have a semblance of that with Russia. The
Yeah.
fact that they are losing this war, well, I wouldn't say they're losing it, but they're certainly not making the inroads that they were
Progress.
hoping for. And we are openly discussing the use of chemical weapons or trying to discourage the Russian president from using chemical weapons or tactical nukes. This is essentially where we are. And it's not a nice place to be, if I'm honest with you. Um, but, at the end of the day, all NATO can do and all the US can do is make sure that there is a red line and that if he crosses that red line, unlike in Syria, they enforce it. Because at the moment, I think if you pander to Putin, he will continue to take liberties. There needs to be at some point a line that he should not cross, and then hope that the internal politics of Russia will mean that people inside that country will make sure he doesn't press that nuclear button. And I would suggest there are probably safeguards in place to ensure that doesn't happen. I
Do you think
hope.
there's a path for a ceasefire here? I mean, the market has talked about it a couple of times. Is
None
there a,
whatsoever. None. Zero. And I'll tell you why. Because the two parties are too far apart in terms of what their requirements are. And if I was Zelensky and I'm seeing my troops push Russian troops back, why would I basically agree to give up Crimea? Why would I agree to give up Luhansk and Donetsk? Because that would basically send a message to Putin that force wins. And I don't think that's a message you want to send when you've got China with its beady eye on Taiwan.
Yeah. That's a great point. Michael Hewson is the chief market strategist at CMC Markets, and also the best dressed guest we've had on the show this year.
He looks
Michael,
great.
Fantastic, Michael. I'm gonna be getting a hold of you again real soon. Unbelievable content. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks,
I'm
man.
Always a
still not
pleasure,
gonna
guys.
not gonna sleep at night, but that's okay.
You're further away than I am, mate.
That's true too.
have a good one, Michael.
Cheers. Thank you,
So
guys.
two
Have a great-
things. I'm trying to wrap my head around the whole 50% rise in energy cost, and which is a killer, an absolute killer. And the second thing is, while he was talking, I got a really good idea for a new business. You guys ready?
Yeah.
A global streaming platform, password sharing, matchmaking system. Okay, so hear me out here.
Joel and me are confused here
Yeah.
now.
Hear me out. A basic Netflix subscription is $10 a month for like the bare bones, right? Number of
Okay.
screens. That's basic. There was a report last week that Netflix is going to start cracking down on password sharing. They're going to charge $3 a month extra. They're just testing it in a couple of markets. So let's just say that goes well. They decide to do it for everyone. So $10 a month for the basic, plus an extra $3, right? On top of that to share your password. That's $13 a month. If you divide that by 2, you're still paying less than the full price of a subscription. It is still beneficial to share your password with somebody, right? To get that benefit. So a global, so I want to create a system where you can type in your streaming habits, what platform I'm a Netflix watcher looking for another Netflix watcher. I stream between these hours and these hours. We have similar, these are my tastes, so we don't mess up the algorithm, right? For our recommendations. Who wants to share passwords with me? We'll split the bill. That's the future.
Share everything.
Share everything. Share your password with some person across the world.
So you're gonna start the app. It's called Share. What are you gonna call it?
I don't know. I'll figure it out. But it's it's like Tinder, but for password, for streaming passwords.
We share everything. We share passwords. We share all passwords. The hackers will love
Come
that.
on, this is a great idea. No one seems to like it. This is a great idea.
I don't know if I'm on it.
Just
Joel-
one
Joel's-
word.
What?
VPN.
All right. Not everyone does VPNs, Joel. All right, Mitch. Whatever.
It's just
Why don't you
already been
guys-
created.
Why don't you get Bert on it? He could probably have it done by Friday.
No, you definitely would not have. Yeah, Friday in 2030, probably. All right, let's bring this over to the chat here. We got 8 minutes left. Oh, Napster. That's a really good name, actually. Maybe I'll call it Napster. Drop some tickers for us in the chat, and we will take a look as to what you want to discuss. We've got 7 minutes left in today's show. Are there other big movers that we didn't cover? I don't think so. It's a relatively quiet day out there in terms of pre-market. Oh, wait, why is iRobot up 8% now? IRBT.
Is it the new? It's short squeezes higher. Is this another squeeze name?
Let
Are they
me
talking
look.
about on Reddit? Just check that first.
Yeah. No,
This was one of those names.
Yeah, I remember it
There's
was.
like a group of, we gave you the list. It's on that high short interest.
No, iRobot's not on there. It is, but it's not high on there. Interesting.
I don't see a headline.
No, me neither. I just noticed that. It could be enough.
First thing is I know when one of those stocks is like 50 on that list, and like that was a Reddit stock at one time. Are they talking about it on Reddit right now?
Yeah.
We're back to this again. We got to be checking Reddit. I think I got rid of the app. I got to get
That'll
again.
be a couple days.
All right. So I don't know why iRobot's up. Let's go
That's
to
probably something like that.
65. I see it 65 print. I see over a 66. I see a print there. I don't know. If I was trading this thing, I keep an eye on 65, and if it just wants to keep on going, you had 3 lower highs in this area, so I'd give a zone, and that zone would be 67 if you're looking for now.
Look at the all-time high when Reddit took this over. They brought it from 100 to 200 in like a day. Oh my gosh, this got silly. We're looking back to January 2021. Crazy. I'm trying to look for a headline here. Northland. Northland, I think, gives it an upgrade. I don't know who's Northland.
Northland.
Smaller firm. Okay.
Yeah, Northland
here's one.
upgrade.
All right, I have a ticker for us from Marcus Taylor. EWZ. This is the Brazil ETF.
Yeah.
How is Brazil doing?
Let's find out.
I haven't looked for a while. That's been rallying too. Everything's
look at
going,
Brazil.
Joel. This has
What?
been doing really well. This got a lot of commodities.
Yeah,
There's a lot of commodities.
a
Yeah,
lot of
coffee.
mining. A lot of mining. Yeah.
Yeah, commodity trade here, so happening too. So yeah, nice lift. It's breaking out. Can't argue with that chart.
Why'd you say, Joel? What did I do? Was I gonna say something wrong?
No,
Oh,
he
I
said
thought
he said it looks good.
Yeah, the chart looks good here. We're obviously not trading the primary. How come EWZ?
Yeah,
right?
it does though. It does because
does?
it actually their hours are because they're south of us, so their hours are the same too. So I know when you automatically think, oh, they've already been trading for hours. The hours are very close on
Very,
Brazil.
very close.
Yeah.
I think they're like an hour ahead of us.
Yeah, I don't know if they are or not.
I mean, chart looks good. I mean, 32 to 37. I mean, pretty straight up. I don't know. I'd be a little afraid of heights here, but if I was, I'll be cool. Let's focus on this 37 for the next couple days. And the only reason I say that is because that was a high back in September of last year. So there's a monthly high for you. Let's see if we can take it out and keep on going and get to the next monthly high. But that'd be my focus number. What was the high? And it didn't quite get there yesterday. So big run. I don't know. Hard for me to buy there. The only thing I really give you is resistance.
All right. A couple.
Next.
Yeah. What else here from the chat? Mara. What was Mara doing? I haven't looked at that one for a hot second.
Well, you first got to ask what Bitcoin is doing.
It's up. It's up.
So that's always, and these are the levered plays. I know Riot might not be participating. It is because they lost somebody left last night, an executive. But all these things are off the lows again. Everything looks the same. All these risks Joel, they all look the same. All these risk assets started, China kickstarted the rally into all risk, and they all kind of look the same. I still got my Hive.
Yeah, we know.
I'm down in it, and it's actually almost back to where I bought it. But that was a double, and then it came all the way down, and that's interesting. Say that much.
Well, obviously 45 and a half is big on the Bitcoin, but we're trading up 77 cents here. We're trading above the previous day's high. Let's see. I mean, if the Bitcoin rally keeps going, who knows how high? I don't know. I'd see if we could get it up to 31.50 today.
I use that BITO as an indicator too. The ProShares Bitcoin Strategy ETF.
Yeah.
It's pretty liquid, and instead of me having Coinbase open to see what the Bitcoin price is, and obviously, I don't know. This BITO is a pretty good indicator.
All right.
Okay.
I actually kind of lost sight of that. It was a shiny object for a couple of weeks, and then I kind of
I keep the BITO right in the corner of the screen, so it's a pretty good indicator.
All right. What else do we have here? I'm looking for tickers that we don't normally discuss here on the show, or at least not every day. Tickers like EWZ, for example. What about? Oh, here's one I'm not familiar with. That's because it barely trades. So, all right, we can look at Coke. How is Coke doing?
Coke?
Long time.
Yeah, consumer staple. Was at an all-time high a couple of weeks ago, or a month ago now, right?
I don't. It's not really discretionary. So I mean, people are going to drink Coke. They're going to drink Coke. So that's a good thing. It's one of the staples, like you said. So people are going to buy it no matter what. I don't love the chart. I don't hate it. It just kind of does nothing. So you want to sit there.
61.
That's resistance.
Get through 61. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
3 tops in a row. You've seen this before. It takes a while to chew through it. Got back half of that move from 63 to 57 and a half. I mean, if Warren goes to 9 Cokes a day, then we can.
That's what he needs. They need Warren.
Tried the new coffee Coke.
Intake.
Coffee Coke?
Yeah, it's coffee Coke. It's Coke and coffee together.
That's
really?
It's from Coke. Yeah.
That's horrible. Who came up with that idea? It's terrible.
Somebody at Coke.
Can't even possibly be good.
Don't knock it.
Just because of the same color doesn't mean you're supposed to mix them together.
It's caffeine with an added side of caffeine.
Double the caffeine. It's the same color. It's got to go.
No, I don't see the problem.
Doesn't sound good. Anybody tried this?
No, I haven't. I just was curious.
I'm sick out to even think about.
Okay, well, let's do
what
one
do they call
more.
it? What's the name of that?
I don't know.
Cocoa?
Coffee and Coke. I don't know. Let's do one more for Jason. We'll look at Portillo's. PTLO.
Oh,
yeah.
Portillo's.
Another recent IPO
off the board.
Another recent IPO that is
Chicago hot dogs, right?
Yep. Well, no. What is it? The hot dogs and the beef or whatever, right? It's like the whatever.
It's not better than the Wiener Circle in Chicago. You ever go there?
I think they closed, Joel.
Well, there was a fire there, but I don't know.
Anyway,
Last time I saw it.
Trend not your friend. I'll say that overall. But
Yeah.
the one thing is, you've got a little, you got a bottom that's just trying to form a
Yeah.
bottom. So I mean, your out has got to be the low at 21.38. You're a little ways away from there. It's a pullback when it was trying to break out, so it doesn't look terrible. But I don't like the overall trend.
What'd you go? You went from 21 to 27, 6-point move. So 3 coming back in. I mean, if you feel like this looks like a pretty solid bottom here at 22.
Yeah, there's some buyers there.
Put little buyers here and then turn your way up. I mean, I see the high from last week. Obviously, you would want to take that out, but I think I could really get more on the bull bandwagon. Got to get through 28. Look at that. 4 highs in a row at 28. So a little bit of a range, but gets above 28. Kind of like it.
All right.
Before you let it go, here's an interesting one. Grab from Christy. Asana, ASAN. Look at these lows, Joel. 3 of them in a row. 40, 40, 40.
Wait.
I wish it was closer to 40 because now it's 44.
And now it's up. Yeah. Wow.
We have not had any buys from CEO Dustin Moskovitz in it's been almost a month.
He's due to start buying again.
It's late. I gotta hop. I'll check in with you guys a little bit. Everyone have a good day. And if Michigan loses, I won't be on tomorrow.
Yes. Good luck tonight, Joel. And then someone in the chat said Beat Fanatic says Wiener Circle is back opened up. That's great to hear. Because I knew they closed.
If you want to take a shot on something like ASAN, you got to stop yourself up below all those lows. 39.17, that would be my stop. Again, it's 10% up. So yesterday would have been a better day when it got down to 40.70 or 41 or 42. 44 is a little ways away. I'm risking over 10% on that, but I kind of like the bottom that's forming here.
Interesting. All right, Dennis, have a great rest of your day. Yep. Good luck. I hope you make some money.
We try.
Before I bring on Peter Tuchman to wrap up today, I want to just mention the FinTwit conference, right, in Vegas, middle of May. Benzinga is co-sponsoring this event, May 13th and 14th. There is a link and a discount code in the description. I'm also going to put it on the screen right now. The link is going to be right there on the screen. It's benzinga.com/events/FinTwit. But it's, you know what? Let me put it in the chat. That's probably easier. Because if I put it in the chat, you can click on it. There's a link in the chat. And the discount code to get 20% off is BZYouTube20. That prices are going up today. So check it out. There's the general admission, and then there's the Benzinga Inner Circle. The same code applies for both, BZYouTube20. So there are 2 different events. There's the event within the event, but BZYouTube20 gets you 20% off. May 13th and 14th, Aria Hotel Casino in Vegas. I fully intend to be there. Come hang. Maybe Joel and Dennis will even come. We'll find out. All right. Let's bring on Peter Tuchman here, the Einstein of Wall Street, for a couple minutes. Have him give us his thoughts on this market. Peter, good morning.
Morning. What's up, Spencer? Sounds great. Are you going to – you just got photo bombed, Spence.
Yeah, I know. Story of my life, man. How's it going?
I'm okay. I'm hanging in there, sort of being a little tossed around by the market, but I'm okay.
A little tossed around. So what are you seeing out there? I mean, we didn't go up yesterday. I forgot there were days where we weren't allowed to go up because it seemed like every day we're going up all of a sudden. So we take a breather yesterday. What is your take on just the vicious rally we had in the last week plus?
Okay. So last week's rally, and it's funny, I've talked about it a bunch, I think was really nothing more than window dressing coming into the end of the quarter. Okay. You realize that, guys are having to perform coming out of one of the worst first quarters of the century, really, right? If you go back to the numbers, this is one of the worst beginnings since 1927, apparently. And so, you come into the end of the quarter, you've got option expiration, you've got an S&P 500 rebalance coming into that time, and guys are really going to have to support how they were able to navigate through that quarter. And obviously people had struggled through 21. 21 was not, if you look at a lot of hedge funds and whatnot, some guys performed, but as we know, a lot of the tech sector was down at 52-week lows coming to the end of the year. And so it was a hard year. So you're coming into 2022, you're really getting beaten up. I mean, so look at NASDAQ mid-January was down 14%. We saw that low of Jan 24. You know, we've seen the market get really hurt in a lot of the tech sector and whatnot as we engage the interest rate move and whatnot. And obviously, we've been tossed by the war and the rally in oil. So you come into a quarter like that, you come into the end of the quarter. I know it's not the end of March, but people are judged, you know, when you wind up coming into that S&P rebalance that we have quarterly plus a quad witch, you've got to show some kind of performance. And we've seen historically, it's an old Wall Street term, window dressing. You mark them up, you know, and I don't mean to infer that anything illegal was being done. But if you're a hedge fund manager and you have underperformed and you've gotten beaten up badly by the quarter, and you're going to be graded by what your P&L is coming into that last day, you're going to do your best with the cash that you have on hand to make your positions look as juicy as possible. And I don't think the way the market has acted since that week, right? We had been down for 10 weeks and then we're up one last week. Nothing in the big story had changed. Right, we you know, and then we saw the way the market reacted to J-Pow coming out with that. You know, he came out after 10 weeks down and 1 week up, suddenly to toss after the week where they came out with the raise of 25 basis points to suddenly respond. You know that I'm a data-driven guy and I love J-Pow, but to suddenly after 1 week of an up market, right? We have this very short-term memory, right? We don't realize that we were down for 10 weeks and we're up for 1 week, and well, now we're back in the bull market. The terminology has got to be thrown into the dumpster, really, because you know we're seeing intraday bull market and bear market. For the young people on your call, used to be a generational thing. It used to take 10 years and 15 years and a generation to go out of a bull and a bear market. Now it's happening to us intraday. Right? You can hear CNBC go at 11 o'clock. Well, we're in a bear market, and it looks like we're the end of the world. We've got a death cross going on in the yield. And then by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, guys, we're back in the bull.
I hear you. I think it was mostly just about the velocity of the up move and the degree of and how up we were. It wasn't so much that we were up, but how far up we had come.
Okay, but where are we coming? Then, Spencer, let's always think of where we just came from. We were in a short-term oversold situation.
Okay.
We have people who are fear of missing out. So once the momentum, we're in a deep momentum trade. Even some of the technical stuff isn't working anymore because the market has gotten so beaten up. So when you've got all those moving parts, you're way oversold short-term. You've got everybody sitting on the sidelines going, you know, I'm not going to miss this bottom. I missed the bottom of 2020, March 2020. I'm not going to miss it again.
Yes.
And they've got that psychology going on. And then you've got to rally into this end of the quarter, and everyone just sort of leaps in. It's like what happened in GameStop the other day. It's almost like that great scene in the movie Airport where the plane is landing and they have no brakes and they keep going. We're going to be at gate 7. We're going to be at gate 9. We're going to be at gate 15 as this plane is careening into the friggin' airport with no brakes. It's the same thing, guys. That's what's going on. Oh, my God, I can't miss it. I got to buy it. I got to buy it. I got to buy it. That FOMO trade is out of control. And you did not see a lot of follow through. Today it was up. Yesterday it got down. There were a couple down days. So, you know, I think that's what's going on. I don't think we're able to understand and digest the magnitude of what's going on in Ukraine. We've got this crazy stuff going on in the oil market, and you've got a lot of people who are afraid they're going to miss the bottom.
Yep. Great reference. And I just want to be absolutely clear. I am not convinced. I'm not chasing this. I'm not convinced that we're going back to all-time highs by any means. I'm just reflecting the mood of last week. Peter Tuchman is the Einstein of Wall Street. You can learn more from his course, the link to which is in the description of this video, Wall Street Global Trading Academy. Check it out, Peter. Always a pleasure. Have a great rest of your day.
Everyone go out and watch the movie if they don't know what I was talking about, right? One of the great scenes of all time. Leslie Nielsen. You gotta thanks, Spencer.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley. All right. Well, that's a wrap. Live trading with Benzinga. Coming up next, Ryan, Zunaid, Mitch. So do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, become a member, get custom emojis and badges and more. Check out Benzinga Pro, pro.benzinga.com. PreMarketPrep.com. And I'll see you guys on Benzinga Live in a few hours. But let's end this stream, go over to live trading with Ryan Zunade and Money Mitch.